Keeping up on the latest product trends in the absorbent hygiene industry can be tough. Sure, there are trade shows and conferences, industry publications, meetings, even podcasts like this one, and all of those are great resources. I use them myself. But even with all of those resources, information on product trends and innovations can often be regionally focused or fragmented, making it hard to get a complete picture of what is changing about products in our industry. Luckily, Bostic is here to help. Welcome to Attached to Hygiene, the podcast that enables you to grow your knowledge and influence in the absorbent hygiene industry. My name is Jack Hughes, and my mission is to help you, the absorbent hygiene article producer, design and produce the best possible products to meet the needs of your customers. On today's episode, we're speaking with Natalia Richer, COO of Diaper Testing International, about trends and innovations in baby diapers and pants. Natalia has been helping DTI test diapers since she was in high school, but has spent the last 5 years as COO helping the company relocate from Mexico to the US, testing and researching products, growing her network, and helping the company grow. In her time at DTI, they've tested thousands of products from across the globe. So she not only has the knowledge of what changes and innovations have come to the baby diaper space over the last 10 years, but she also has a great perspective on what could be coming in the next 5 to 10 years. She's also a new mom, so she has firsthand experience with many different products on the market and has the resources through DTI to go and test what she is seeing in her own experiences with her new son. Since my conversation with Natalia was packed with so much information, we're splitting it into 2 parts. The first episode will cover what type of testing DTI does and begin to explore some of the trends and innovations she is seeing in the market. On episode 2, Natalia will continue to share her insights on trends in absorbent baby products before talking about consumer expectations, sustainability, and what the future holds for baby diapers and pants. Joining me today to discuss diaper trends in our industry is Natalia Richer. Natalia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. Now, this is not technically your first time on the show. You were featured in an episode that when you and Heidi Beatty joined our Global Leadership Forum last year, but this is your first time as a featured guest on the show. So as we do with all of our guests, I like to have them introduce themselves, their role and their background in the industry. So I'm going to go ahead and let you do that.
So hello, everyone. My name is Natalia Richer. I co-own a diaper testing laboratory in Houston, Texas that focuses on technical design, including performance benchmarks, quality control, reverse engineering, especially focused in baby diapers and adult incontinence products. So my role is as a consultant in product design and development. My background in the industry. So actually, it's a family business. My father is Carlos Richer, and he has more than 35 years of experience. I keep saying 35. It's probably by now like 40. I don't know. But he has a long experience working in manufacturing and then as an independent consultant. And 5 years ago, I joined his team and helped him move the operations from Monterrey, Mexico to Houston, Texas. So now we opened this laboratory here in Texas. It's a new location. I started, let's say a long time ago. Back when I was in high school, I would help my dad doing, like as a lab tech, doing tests over the summer, and he would pay me. But now 5 years ago, we started, or my sister and I started from the very beginning, from the very bottom where we would be doing the lab tests. And that was very, very helpful in actually touching the product, like experiencing the product itself, doing the re-wet test, the strike-through test, the capacity test, and really getting hands-on with this. And then that just evolved into us slowly taking over the clients and being the point of communication, and now being as a consultant. Myself, as a product design and development, I help brands and raw material suppliers for the industry, as well as converters, improve their products.
Great. Yeah. And obviously, you and your family have a strong reputation in industry, definitely in North America, and well known. So all the work that your father and you and your sister have put in is definitely, it's paying off in the reputation that you have. Yeah, I always like to ask our guests what they like most about working in the industry. And I guess for you, maybe what aspect of your work that you like the most. So wondering, yeah, if you're not new to the industry, you've been working, as you said, on diapers for several years, but just curious what you like most about the industry and maybe about the diaper testing process.
Well, it's a very dynamic industry. I love that it's always changing. There's always new product improvements, IP, the world of improving diapers is just it's huge. And there's also a lot of opportunity for improvement. I mean, we're dealing with a product that it's supposed to stop leakages, contain fluids, and the cost of failure here is enormous. I became a parent recently. I'm a first-time mom, and I'm experiencing firsthand what it really means to have a product fail, to have leaks. What does it mean in terms of the impact to sleep? So, what I like about the industry, I like that now as a mom, I become really passionate about motherhood. Maybe, I'm a bit of a workaholic. So I feel like these days I'm working and then I'm being a mom. And, that's what my life is now. But I'm really passionate about both. And this allows me to really combine my passions as a mom and work toward improving diaper design, really listening to consumer feedback, getting my hands dirty in R&D, developing new impromptu testing to validate certain hypotheses. My son sleeps on his belly, kind of at an incline, so with his butt up. And that is a worst case scenario for diapers. From the fact that he's a boy, he has a penis, it's pointing downwards, to the fact that when they're on their belly and kind of with their butt up, the runway for the diaper pad to prevent leakages, to stop the leak before it gets to the waist and then out, it's actually really, really small. So just yesterday at the lab, we wanted to test this hypothesis of this being really difficult to do and how some diapers are failing in this. So we just started blowing up some baby mannequins, like inflatable babies, and just putting them on their belly, raising them up a little bit, and then putting the dosing point kind of at the crotch area. And then seeing, what the runoff is going to be under those test circumstances that to me are really close to heart because they represent how my baby sleeps.
Yeah, I'm sure having that kind of firsthand experience and knowledge and seeing that in person is a little more valuable than maybe someone like me who will be trying to do a test and doesn't have children. And so you're trying to like, okay, is this positioned right? It's like, no, that's not how my baby sleeps. It's not how he's positioned. So I'm sure that offers a lot of great perspective to the testing process. And like you said, you're kind of coming up with your own problems and hypotheses and then being able to test those, which is not something that every mom can do. Maybe, most moms are probably just cycling through different diapers until they find one that's working, but you can kind of get to the root of that problem.
Yeah, definitely. I can imagine how frustrating it is because I feel like a lot of parents really want to give this feedback. When you're reading product reviews, you see that a lot of them are really getting into it, saying how they can improve their product. And at the lab, we offer home use tests. So it also has been really interesting to see how parents approach product improvement and what their take on it is. On a personal note, yes, I'm a first time parent. I have my 10-month-old, but parenting really kicked me in the butt. Like everyone tells you that it's hard, like get ready to not sleep. But I approached this kind of arrogantly, thinking, oh, I'm going to do better than everyone else. I'm a workaholic. I put a lot of effort into what I do. So I just thought I'm going to put all that energy into parenting as well and approach this kind of like as a project. And I was such an idiot. This whole experience has been so humbling. No one has it better. No one gonna approach us better than anyone else. Now that I see people on the streets and I see them parents, I feel like there's this connection that you have with them that really brings everyone together. It doesn't matter whatever it is, race, ethnicity, money, nothing matters. When you're a parent, you have this common ground with everyone. Everyone went through the first 6 weeks that were really, really difficult, et cetera, right? But this process has really helped me see that there is so much that we can do for parents still. We have to do right by everyone out there that is having a really difficult time. And maybe diapers is a small part of a really large, parenting, especially early parenting issue. But those moments where you're not getting sleep, if a diaper can deliver a leak-free experience, that is priceless for a parent.
Yeah. Speaking for myself here, I think that can be easy to forget. I've said this before. It's sometimes easy to forget that there are people behind the products that we help produce. And, it's very difficult for the industry because whether it's adult incontinence products, whether it's period products or baby products, like no two consumers are exactly the same or no two users are exactly the same. Different sizes, shapes, preferences, how they sleep. So but it can be really for me it can be easy to forget, like, yeah, we're not just making products, we're making products for people that have to use them and live their lives, and ideally live their lives without leaks or inconveniences and things like that. And as you said, for a parent, being able to sleep through a night without a leak and not having to worry about it, that's huge. And if you can find a diaper or product that's going to do that, like, the loyalty there is going to be very, very strong. So there's a lot of, obviously, incentive for manufacturers to understand that, and they know better than I do, but they invest a lot of money into it. But there's a lot of benefit to them succeeding and getting it right and producing a product that's going to work for the widest amount of those different body shapes and sizes and babies.
Of course. Yeah. And just as we approach this, because right before I was very data driven. Not that I'm not anymore, but I guess I've put a little bit of the emotion into it as well now. But just to not forget who the end consumer is and what our products mean to them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's I think maybe for babies we take it for granted, but I don't. For, I think the big one are, for period products and adult incontinence products, and adult incontinence products, just because of the massive amount of stigma around the condition of incontinence, and there's still stigma around periods, unfortunately, as well. But particularly for incontinence, I mean, if a product fails, that could really upend someone's life. Like, there's already enough embarrassment, people thinking they're alone having to deal with the condition. If they're exposed for having the condition not on their own terms, like, it can really change their lives. They cannot leave the house. They cannot feel comfortable going to the doctor now. It's just, it's a real life changer. So remembering how important the products that we, Bostic helps produce, that you're testing, that producers are producing, are to the people who use them. Yeah, it's always good to have that reminder.
Yeah.
So before we dive into what you're here to discuss today, which is some of the trends you're seeing in baby diapers in particular, you touched on this a little, but I was wondering if you could share a little bit more about the testing that DTI does and how you're doing that.
Yeah, sure. So DTI, Diaper Testing International, we're the testing laboratory in Houston. And so we focus on all areas of product development, from just testing personal absorbent hygiene products, being able to compare the key parameters in terms of the core performance against competitors. So I think maybe it's more helpful for me to place myself into the listener. So what you need to know, dear listener, is if you want to know how your diaper or your client's diaper performs against key competitors, we can help you. Do you want to explore areas of opportunity in your product's design, from product development to R&D, all the way to validation with home use tests, so that the final data is coming in from real users and their experience? We can help you throughout that process. And so starting at the performance benchmarks, so at DTI, we focus, when it comes to the diaper core performance parameters, we focus on the re-wet, the strike through, the capacity, that really together kind of help define absorbency of a product, or what the end user is thinking of absorbency, right? As a combination of all of these. And additional to re-wet, strike through, the speed of acquisition, and the capacity of the product, then we also have separately leakages. And I know that in the industry, everyone's trying to develop these different test methods on how to test leakages, whether it's a mannequin, absorption before leakage test, et cetera. But for leaks specifically, I really prefer to take it all the way to the end user and send out product, have parents actually use it, have that final validation and leakages. And When we send out product to parents, we ask them to fill out a leakage diary so that with every single diaper change, they're noting how long the diaper was worn, and if there were any leakages, where did it come from? Were they unacceptable, acceptable? Were they large, small, etc.? And this really completes the picture of absorbency. So the home use test really bridged the gap between just laboratory data and then perception of performance.
Yeah, I'm sure having that kind of field data, if you will, is just so valuable, as you said, especially for leaks. You can test absorbency in a lab. It's easy enough to do. Sure, there are variables when that diaper is on a user, but leaks, I gotta imagine that's really hard to replicate in a lab with a mannequin that, maybe it can move, maybe it can't, maybe you can reposition it, but just I feel like the best way you're going to find is just kind of normal everyday movements and usage to really understand where or how a product might leak. And if there are kind of reoccurrences of leakages from a certain point of the product, I got to imagine that's way easier to do in the field than in a lab.
Absolutely. During the entire need of diapers for a baby, for example, the need changes a lot. So, in the first 4 months of life, they're pretty much only on their back. They can't move. At 4 to 6, they start rolling around. And by 9 months, maybe they're sleeping on their belly like mine. Later, they're going to be running around, etc. So, testing at different points and different product types, there should be a necessity to do this. And right now, the industry doesn't do this. They have the standard tests, and it's the end of the story. And what I would love to do, and what I've been doing for some of our clients now, is instead of just testing, hey, we used to just test size 4 and then extrapolate. Hey, if we test size 4, which is the one that you sell the most, then we know how you compare against Pampers, you compare against KC, et cetera. And that's it. We know the full picture of your diaper and its design and iris of opportunity. And it's not so. I want to test size 1, 2, and 3 differently. The baby's going to be in its back. There's different needs. Even there's different needs between a day diaper and a night diaper. A day diaper is going to be changed maybe every 3 hours. And a night diaper might be on for 12 hours, 10 hours, 13 hours. I've left them on for 13 hours. So why are we only testing everything the same? Night diapers should be designed different and then should be tested differently. And early stage diapers should be tested differently from once they're mobile, running around and everything. I would love to move the conversation. I mean, not right now necessarily, but for the industry, right? Move the conversation to testing in ways that are more consumer relevant instead of just automated.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then I'm sure having that experience as a mother, and needing to work kind of at the same time gave you that perspective of saying like, okay, well, yeah, it doesn't make sense to test sizes 1 through 3 the same way you would test size 4, because as you said, the activity level is just completely different. And maybe that's something that, I guess, like I said, me, maybe someone else in a technical role testing diapers at a company that doesn't have children wouldn't have that perspective. So I think it's moving that conversation to the user experience as opposed to maybe the more technical side of the industry of saying, just testing re-wet or peel or creep or whatever, putting that in the end user's language, but also the end user's experience is huge. And at Bostic, we've done a little bit of that with our own testing, particularly around period pads and stay in place. But it's a big difference maker because you're testing the user's experience, and ideally you're being able to explain that in the user's language, which makes their lives easier and makes their product experience better.
Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, there's a time and place for all these sort of tests.
For sure.
The flat testing or the U-shaped testing, whatever it is that you're using, it's going to be great for quality control. It's going to be great to always, test the same way, create a historical. That's something that we do at DTI. We have a historical from years back, in the same exact setting and testing style. How did the same Pampers product do 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 1 year ago? And that allows us to see, the changes, what the small changes in product design have had an impact on in terms of the capacity, performance, and strike through under the same testing conditions, right? So absolutely in favor of that. I guess it's more for R&D purposes when you're truly trying to develop a new, I don't know, improve a parameter of the diaper, that I think it would be much more useful to test in real use circumstances.
Absolutely. When you're looking for that like true innovation, it's probably going to take looking at things and even testing things differently than we have. Absolutely.
And we do provide other services at the lab. So that's just the testing portion, right? And I don't think I even completed really the story, because we do focus on the performance of the diaper core with the reward and strike through capacity. But we also, of course, evaluate a little bit more holistically the entire product. We can run, measurements, get an idea of the sizing of one product versus another. So for example, if you're going to be switching to, I don't know, let's say Coterie, how does this diaper compare to Pampers? Is it going to run bigger, smaller? Because there is no sizing standard. I mean, there's a sizing standard that kind of was named by Procter & Gamble, right? Everyone follows the same sizing. So they say, hey, size 4, and it starts at, 22 pounds and up. But what we have found by asking our panel, we have thousands of parents in our panel in the United States, and we've been asking them, hey, how much does your baby weigh? And what diaper size do they use? And we've been finding that they almost, as high as like 45% of parents in size 4 have transitioned to size 4 much earlier than what the sizing chart says. So the sizing chart will say like, hey, at 22 pounds, like you can start using this. And we've seen as early as, 16 pounds that a pretty chubby baby already needed that. And the parent saw this need and changed to the next size earlier. So we have this sizing chart that everyone is kind of following. Everyone says, well, mine is a size 4, so it has to be. But it fits much longer than a size 4 Pampers, for example. But everyone just kind of got relegated to using the exact same sizing. So, okay, so that's something that we can do at the lab, right? Just like run basic measurements, tell you what waist circumference your diaper is going to fit to for babies by running min-max waist, of course, peel tests, creep tests, et cetera, so that we can really give you a good picture of the whole product and not just the diaper core.
Yeah. And we all know how important brand reputation is, particularly in our industry, with how intimate the products that we help produce are to the body and to the user, and how, as we already mentioned, how important they are. It's huge to make sure they're functioning as we intend and meeting the needs of the customer.
Yeah, now that consumer loyalty is actually much lower now than in the older generations, so you can't afford just to mess up.
Yeah, there's too much competition out there and too many options to just say, oh, well, we'll be fine. You got to really make sure you will be fine. So, we know you're based in Houston, but I'm curious, the products that you're testing or the clients that are sending you products to test, where are those coming from? Are they coming from mainly the United States, or is it different countries and regions that you're able to kind of test and then build this historical log of data and information?
Yeah, we do get products from all around the world. And that's why originally our name was called Diaper Testing International. And now we just call it DTI. But right, because we were receiving products from all around the world. So it does help us get a bird's eye view of how the products are changing and what innovation we're seeing in different parts of the world, but also what priorities are being placed in terms of the specifications of the diaper for each part of the world, where in some areas of the world, consumers are more likely to take on a thinner product versus in other parts, maybe a thinner product might be closely correlated to a product that might fail or that it's not going to be absorbent enough because they prefer a thicker feel. But a lot of our bigger clients right now are in the United States. And I love that we've been building this reputation in the US and seeing all these products of the US. What prototypes are being worked on that, of course, are confidential, and I can't talk about that, but it's great to see how the products are being built and evolving by all these brands.
Absolutely, for sure. So with all that in mind, the test methods that you do, the multiple regions that you're receiving and testing diapers from, kind of want to get to the core of, no pun intended, of what we want to talk about today. And
Mhm.
that is the trends you're seeing. I think you're in a unique position, and as someone and as a company that's testing a lot of different diapers from all over the world, I imagine you have to have a good idea of the trends that we're seeing in diapers, and having this historical background about what has changed, what hasn't changed, and maybe even being able to kind of predict where things are going. So I'm curious, what are the major trends you're seeing in baby diapers in maybe the last year or two compared to maybe 5 or 10 years ago from the testing that you've done?
I think the name of the game right now is elastics. That is where we're seeing the major differences and where everyone seems to be focusing on. And it makes sense. Elastics bring a better ergonomic fit for babies or for any user, being able to prevent leaks to consumer error. Like when you're no longer relying on the parent to be readjusting constantly, even as babies' waists kind of grow and deflate after a meal. They might be like huge bellies. And then even as adults, right after a belly, you want to unbuckle your belt. Well, with babies, the change is even more drastic from full belly to digested and deflated belly. So better elastics help automate this perfect fit process without relying on outside factors to be readjusting. And when it comes to elastics, I mean, what 10 years ago, really the fit from the elastics was really only coming from the side panel that was elastic. And now we see brands focusing on either improving the waist elastic, improving the side panel elastic, but absolutely we're seeing also a trend towards baby pants that have all around elastic. So actually just recently Pampers, who has had, when you think about Pampers compared to KC, the biggest thing that comes to mind is, okay, Pampers doesn't have a waist elastic. KC does, right? The Huggies products have, an incredible waist elastic that provides that kind of like more like a longer ergonomic fit around the entirety of the waist, the back waist, I mean, and then less so in the panels versus Pampers products that have like really good elastic side panels, but no waist elastic. And that's always something that we knew about Pampers, say no waist elastic, no waist elastic. And for some of the converters that don't have waist elastic, it has always been their defense. Hey, but Pampers doesn't have it, so we don't need to have it either. But just this year, Pampers, and this wasn't a big, it wasn't a relaunch or anything like that. It was kind of more like quiet. But Pampers Swaddlers was redesigned to have a waist elastic, and not only at the back, but at the front as well. So, as close as you can to make it a pant, but still being an open diaper. So to me, this is kind of like the final, what is the expression? Straw.
Like the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will.
Yeah, just kind of to prove that really, if even this giant of Procter and Gamble that had not decided not to put on a waist elastic for so many years, now has done not only a waist elastic, but an almost all around waist elastic, right? Front and back waist elastic. I think that's just huge and just goes to prove the point that elastics really is where we need to focus, and it's the name of the game. Whether you can take it all the way to the pant or just improve the elastics on a tape diaper.
Yeah. I think to your points about how important it is for a parent, a new parent, or an experienced parent to get sleep and have a diaper that doesn't leak. And, yes, the core plays a huge role in that, but as you said, the elastics are vital to making sure that everything stays inside that diaper and is contained, and the diaper functions as it's intended. And, so that emphasis on elastic and leak prevention and fit, making sure that it fits and fits well and adjusts well to different body styles and sizes is vital. So that, yeah, it makes sense. It just makes a lot of sense.
And it's pants too that have been taking off, because I know that I focus this conversation on the pamper swaddlers because that's just, I think, a really eye-opening launch, or not launch, but, redesign. But pants have been taking off as well. And we see in other parts of the world, like in India, where babies start wearing pants almost since day one. There is a newborn pant available. So in markets that had growth potential, non-mature markets, they were able to focus more on, as manufacturers were building out their new machines, they were able to put in more pant machines versus in let's say North America, where the market has been absolutely more saturated. There's all these investments already there into all these diaper lines. So launching more pants in a way cannibalizes the tape diaper business. But in China, in India, and other parts of Asia, we definitely see way more pants being sold.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask about that because it's something our team in China. I remember going to meetings when I first started at Bostik. They would bring samples with them and talk about pants and the popularity of pants. And so we've talked about that in a few recent episodes, and it's starting to take off in regions outside of Asia and in Europe and in North America. But people I talk to, some of the new parents I've talked to, it still seems like that kind of established tape style diapers, particularly for newborns to 6 months or so or a year, that they're still not sold on pants. And I think the big thing that I keep hearing is just the putting on and taking off the pant, where with a tab style or tape style diaper, it's because you're kind of encasing the baby, you're not, there's no risk of like dragging the insult up or down or having to deal with squirming legs and stuff. And so I'm curious, having done some of the consumer feedback and field tests, if you will, are you seeing parents say anything about trying pants earlier or moving to pants earlier than they would have maybe in 10 years ago?
Well, in a way, the way that we use diapers in North America is dictated by Pampers and by Huggies, right? They're the ones with the vested interest. They have all these machine lines. So, here where the market penetration is kind of complete, except for the few niche of eco warriors that want to use cloth diapers. Otherwise, the market penetration is really to its entirety. There is a vested interest to not move towards pant products and to have been labeling pant products as a potty training aid. Here, all the pants are called, training pull-ups.
Mm.
But we see a few brands, especially D2C brands, that have started to shift the paradigm and not using the potty training word to say, hey, this is just a different type of diaper. And it works. It has this different type of benefits that you don't need to wait until your baby is 3 years old to start using a diaper pant. As soon as babies really start trying to escape the diaper changing station, to me, that's when it's already a benefit to start using pants. So my baby, since I actually started wearing pants since he was 4 months old, and I don't think that barrier necessarily exists. I think it has been more of they teach us how to diaper, and we think that that's how it needs to be done. But my baby was born in the winter, so I was putting on pants anyway, right? So I was just thinking, hey, it would have been just as easy to put it, even when he was a newborn, to slide up the diaper, right? I was already sliding up pants.
Yeah.
And later, when you want to, maybe there's this idea that you're going to slide it down and you're going to get poop everywhere. But of course not, right? The pant products can be, you tear it at the sides, and then you just remove it the same way as a regular open tape diaper. I think that there's a huge opportunity for this market as parents realize that this is just better for leak prevention. It's easier to put on. Once they start squirming around, trying to run out of a diaper change, no question. To me, is no question. Like as they're moving away from you, you can pull it up as you chase them, and you cannot do this with an open tape diaper.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see as some of those D2C brands grow in popularity and pants become bigger here. And we just had some episodes on Latin America, and we saw that the trend is coming there as well. If you start to see that shift with as you mentioned, the big players to offer more of those in those younger and younger sizes, there has to be some benefits for an entire region of the world to be using pant style diapers essentially from birth. They can't be wrong. Obviously there are benefits to both sides, but if the popularity is there, it would make sense that would travel and people over here would at least try it. So, and that makes sense. I mean, being able to tear the diaper at the seams and remove it like a tape style diaper, but having that easier on, being able to get it on easier for a pant makes a lot of sense once you said, as they start combating their, battling the diapering process.
Absolutely. And Coterie launched, was it this year? Yes, it was this year. They launched a resealable pant.
Okay.
That is manufactured in Japan. So it's going to be interesting as well to see how this product performs in the market, because this would be an 2-in-1 product that can be pulled up. But, if you're in a circumstance where you can't pull it up for whatever reason, you're trying to diaper change in the car, you don't want to pull the pants down completely to pull a diaper up. Okay, it gives you that flexibility that you can open it first, put it in as you would a tape diaper, close it, and then it still continues being a pant. So that's a really interesting innovation tidbit that we've seen in this market. And the Huggies pull-up is resealable as well. But again, this is marketed as a potty training aid more so, and not available in the earlier sizes, the way that the Coterie new pant is available in earlier sizes. Additionally, the KC pull-up pant, the way that if you open it and reseal it, it doesn't act as a typical diaper where you reseal it from the back to the front. And this one is resealed from front to back. So it doesn't exactly become a hybrid the way that the Coterie pant that seals from back to front does, essentially being 2-in-1, a diaper and a pant. So that's interesting. And not to take credit away from Pampers that did launch their 360 cruisers, not calling it a training pant a few years ago. And we've seen that product has taken off in sales at retailers. So
yeah,
slowly moving some baby steps in North America, but I can predict it's the right way to diaper, especially an older baby from 6 months and on. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that trend is clearly coming, and it'll be interesting to see the effect of that on the consumption of elastics and things like that. If the technology of elastics changes at all, and we have a vested interest in the bonding of that, but it'll be really interesting to see as those gain in more popularity here in the Americas and in Europe, what kind of new innovations are coming. As you said, we're already seeing some kind of hybrid type diapers going on, which sounds really, really interesting. And I imagine those have their own challenges in being able to function well and stay together like a pant, but be able to be resealable. It's got to be an engineering challenge that I'm sure that put a lot of hours into that. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes for sure. This episode was sponsored by Cotton Incorporated. As the global baby care market continues to grow, so does parents' demand for natural, safe, and earth-friendly products for their babies. Learn more about Cotton as a natural leader in the global baby care market by visiting Cottonworks at cottonworks.com/baby-care-brochure. Cottonworks is your go-to tool and guide for producing outstanding cotton products. Discover what's possible with cotton. Create a free account today at cottonworks.com. So there you have it. You now have some inside information on trends and innovations in baby diapers and pants from someone who is working with products from across the globe every day. Next week, you'll hear about more trends, plus consumer expectations, and what Natalia thinks the future holds for baby diapers and pants. Attached to Hygiene is brought to you by Bostic and is hosted by me, Jack Hughes. It is produced and edited by me with the help of Michelle Tonkovitz, Emery Chernus, and Nikki Ackerman at Green Onion Creative. Our theme music is by Jonathan Boyle. We'd like to extend a special thank you to our guest today, Natalia Richer. You can follow Natalia and DTI on LinkedIn for more absorbent hygiene market insights. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.